Somewhere in your office right now, there is a Derek. You know exactly who I'm talking about. Derek shows up at 9:47, gets coffee, has a 20-minute conversation with someone from a department he doesn't even work in, finds his desk, opens his laptop, and then does the absolute bare minimum a human being can do while still technically being employed. And Derek is untouchable. No write-ups, no warnings, no HR conversations. Meanwhile, you, the person who stayed until 7 p.m. last Tuesday fixing a problem Derek created, you're still waiting on that raise conversation your manager keeps rescheduling. Ah, man, I know that feeling. So, this is not your manager being oblivious. This is not bad luck. This is a system working exactly as designed. And once you see how it works, you're going to understand something about Derek that is genuinely going to irritate you. Because Derek isn't lazy. Derek has figured something out that you haven't. Something that, wait, stay with me on this, works exactly the same way with your money. I know, sounds like a stretch right now. It isn't. So, what has Derek actually figured out? It's located what I call the invisible floor. The invisible floor is the exact minimum performance level that keeps you employed. Not the standard the company publishes in the handbook, the real one. The actual threshold below which consequences happen. Most high performers have never found their invisible floor because they've never needed to. They're operating so far above it, they don't even know it exists. Derek could draw you a map. He knows which deadlines actually matter and which ones are just someone's optimism in calendar form. He knows which manager tracks output and which one just needs the energy to feel right. We've all had that manager. While you're hitting every checkbox on your performance review, Derek is quietly doing the math on what he can skip without anyone important noticing. And honestly, most of the time he's right, because you filled in the gap, again, like you always do. Now, the second thing Derek has mastered, and this one is going to sting a little, effort optics. He does the smallest amount of real work for the maximum amount of visibility. Your head is down pushing through a deadline. Derek is wandering the floor, having coffee with someone from finance, stopping by the VP's office for a check-in that nobody asked for but somehow landed perfectly. So here's a number. Actual job performance, about 10% of what determines whether you get promoted. 10. Seriously, like, what? The other 90 is image, exposure, whether the right people feel good about you. Derek didn't read that anywhere. He just knew. So while you're putting everything into the 10%, Derek is all in on the 90. And once a quarter, when executive eyes are on something, Derek is suddenly present, focused, vocal, not doing more work, just making sure the right people see effort at exactly the right moment. He invests energy the way a smart investor invests money, only when the return is worth it. And then the last piece. Derek never becomes a problem for the person who can actually fire him. Think about this from your manager's chair. Derek isn't missing deadlines, he barely has any. He's not creating conflict, he avoids doing anything that could generate it. He's not making mistakes because he's not doing enough work to make them. The team is still delivering, metrics look fine, because, say it with me, you made sure of it. So why would they fire Derek? Firing Derek means a vacancy, a hiring process, a whole transition period. That's a problem. Derek is not a problem. And look, I'm just going to say this. A lot of people in leadership got there by doing a version of exactly what Derek is doing. They managed optics, delegated smartly, invested effort selectively. When they look at Derek, they don't see a problem employee. They see a familiar playbook. So let me show you the full picture. Because Derek isn't operating alone. Derek exists inside a system that was built to need him. Think about Sarah. Sarah is the one who stayed, who covered, who fixed, who delivered. Sarah got a performance review last quarter that said, exceeds expectations across all metrics. You know what Sarah also got? More work. Same salary. And a very sincere thank you from a manager who immediately turned around and asked her to onboard the new hire. Sarah is carrying Derek, and the org chart doesn't show that anywhere. Now, here's the part that should genuinely make you uncomfortable. Companies aren't blind to this dynamic. They depend on it. Every high performer like Sarah creates cover for 3 Dereks. The metrics stay green, The managers stay unbothered. The machine keeps moving. And nobody senior enough to change anything has any real incentive to change anything because the system is working for them. And this is where it connects to something much bigger than Derek. The same architecture exists in every system the middle class participates in. Your job, your bank, your retirement plan. All of them designed to extract reliability from people like you, while the Dereks at every level quietly figure out the floor and never go below it. Which is exactly why what comes next matters. Real quick, if this is making you think of a specific Derek right now, subscribe. Forward this to your manager. Actually, no, don't do that. Subscribe though, seriously. Okay, so here's where Derek's entire playbook translates directly into your bank account. The most financially secure people I've come across, building real wealth on ordinary incomes, retiring way earlier than they should, they are running the invisible floor with their money. Not working harder with it, working like Derek. The hardworking saver, and honestly, I've been this person, is manually budgeting every transaction, tracking every category, white-knuckling it through every slightly expensive weekend, trying so hard. The lazy investor set up an automatic transfer to an index fund 3 years ago and has not thought about it since. Wait, the lazy investor is winning? Yeah, the lazy investor is winning. Passive investing has outperformed actively managed funds, the ones run by very smart, very hardworking people, consistently for 20 years. Because active management means fees, means decisions, means the human brain, which is genuinely terrible at this, getting emotionally involved at exactly the wrong moment. Same energy. Busyness mistaken for progress. Here's what most people completely miss. The invisible floor for your money isn't about cutting lattes or tracking spreadsheets. It's one move. Automate the good behavior. Then get out of your own way. Derek didn't rely on discipline at work. He built an environment where the right outcome happens, whether he's paying attention or not. Same thing. Set the transfer. Make it automatic. Make it harder to stop than to continue. You getting me? Here's what took me a while to actually appreciate about Derek. The laziness didn't come first. The clarity came first. Somewhere along the way, maybe after watching someone grind for 30 years and get laid off in a restructure anyway, Derek got very clear on what actually moved the needle, and he stopped doing everything else. That is genuinely one of the hardest things a person can do, because it is not easy to leave at 5 when your manager is still there. It is not easy to watch your portfolio drop and do absolutely nothing. The hardworking person thinks Derek has it easy. He doesn't. He's just not performing effort for an audience that stopped watching. And the lazy investor who didn't touch their account when the market dropped, you think they didn't feel the urge? They saw every headline you saw. They just built a system that made it hard to react. That's not passive. That's discipline that looks exactly like nothing from the outside, which is entirely the point. You're going back to work this week. You're going to see Derek. Leaving on time, not sweating the 6 p.m. email, not performing urgency for a room that isn't watching anymore. And you're either going to think, I see the floor now. I see what game is actually being played here. Or you won't. And you'll keep working very hard for someone who figured out a long time ago exactly how much of your reliability they actually need. Either way, you've seen the floor now. This is Breaking Money. See you in the next one.